Have you ever looked back at your dating history and just had this weird feeling of déjà vu? It's this strange mystery that plays out in so many of our lives, and you know what? Today, we're going to try and figure it out together.
You think about the people you've been with, right? So many different faces.
So many different names, totally different backgrounds, different jobs, you name it.
But when you really get down to it, does the story of the relationship feel almost exactly the same? The same kinds of arguments, the same anxieties, the same emotional roller coaster?
So that's the big question we're tackling. Why do we keep choosing the same type of person over and over again? Why do we keep finding ourselves in the same situations? What feels like a weird coincidence at first eventually starts to look a lot like a pattern.
And here's the thing. To really understand the choices we're making today, we have to look way, way further back. Because long before you ever had your first crush, your brain was already learning what love is supposed to feel like.
Which brings us to this core idea, and it's a big one, the emotional blueprint. This is pretty much the foundation for everything else we're going to talk about.
Okay, so think of it like this. Your very first experiences with connection, with your parents or whoever raised you, they weren't just memories. They were actual lessons that got wired directly into your nervous system. This blueprint became your body's definition of what love is. And these weren't vague lessons either. We're talking about really specific stuff. Through thousands of tiny, everyday moments, your nervous system figured out, is love a safe, comforting place? Or is affection something you have to work for, something that comes and goes? Do my feelings matter here?
And here is the absolute twist. Our brain isn't out there searching for what's healthy. Nope, it's searching for what feels familiar. That early blueprint basically acts like a homing signal, pulling us toward relationship dynamics that feel right to us just because they're what we've always known, even if what we've always known was painful.
So how does this blueprint actually mess with our dating lives? Well, this is where we get into trouble, because we often mistake that feeling of familiarity for chemistry.
And you can see the difference right here. If your emotional blueprint was built on chaos or drama or having to constantly earn someone's affection, then guess what? Uncertainty feels exciting. Effort feels like passion. Meanwhile, a calm, consistent, safe connection might feel, well, kind of boring. Not because it is boring, but because your nervous system literally isn't used to peace.
This all ties back to what's known as attachment theory. For instance, if you grew up with really inconsistent attention, you might develop an anxious attachment style, always afraid of being abandoned, always chasing partners who seem just a little bit out of reach. Or if emotions weren't really a thing in your house, you might become avoidant, uncomfortable with true closeness and likely to pull away. Does any of this sound maybe a little too familiar?
And what's going on underneath it all is this really deep, usually unconscious hope. We think we're just trying to get this new person to love us, but really, we're trying to go back and win a battle from our childhood. We're hoping that maybe, just maybe, this time, the story will end differently. So the next time you feel that overwhelming can't eat, can't sleep kind of chemistry, it's really powerful to just pause and ask yourself, is this true, healthy passion? Or is my nervous system just getting excited because it recognizes a familiar storm? Okay, I know this might all sound a bit heavy, like we're all doomed to repeat the past. But here's the most important part of this whole conversation, the really hopeful part. You are not stuck. Your patterns of attraction can absolutely change.
And let me just say that again so it really sinks in. Your attraction patterns are not permanent. They were learned, which means, and this is everything, they can be unlearned. You have the power to write a new story.
So where do you start? Well, it all begins with one single thing, awareness. Honestly, just understanding why you're drawn to certain dynamics is a massive first step. It's like turning a light on in a dark room. For the first time, you can actually see what's going on and make a conscious choice. So the path forward looks something like this. First, you have to look honestly at your past relationships. Then you start tuning into your own feelings in the moment. From there, it's about learning new, healthier ways to communicate. And maybe most important of all, building a solid sense of self-worth that isn't dependent on someone else's approval.
And as you start doing this work, something really amazing begins to happen. Your attractions literally start to shift. That old drama that used to feel so exciting, it'll start to feel just exhausting. And that calm, stable connection that once felt boring, it'll start to feel like peace. It'll start to feel like home.
So if you take one thing away from all this, let it be this. Your past gave you your first blueprint, for sure, but you are the architect of your life now.
You get to decide if you want to keep building the same old house or if you're ready to design something brand new.
And that leaves us with one final, really powerful question to sit with. Think about your relationships. Are they recreating your childhood? Are they helping you finally grow beyond it? Because the best relationships don't keep us stuck in the past. They're the ones that challenge us and support us to become who we're meant to be.